Good morning, all of you. We welcome you to our expert talk. Request KG Bhuva sir to please take over. Sir, please start your mic and take over the meeting.
I am able to unmute. Okay.
Very good, sir. Good morning.
Good morning. Hello, all dear participants. On behalf of Dr. S and SS Gandhi Government Engineering College, Surat, Electronics and Communication Department, and Inine Solutions, I welcome all of you. I welcome all of you for participating this webinar on scope for EC engineers in the field of industrial automation. So I hope that all of you will enjoy this and gain something from that webinar. And now, without wasting time, let us start our expert talk from Mr. Nandlal Dhandukia from Inine Solutions. Okay, over to Nandlal.
Good morning, all the participants. Sir, I think we shall wait just a minute because it's
Just 5 minutes. We wait for 5 minutes because some participants are not able to join or facing some problems. So just we can wait for 5 minutes. And then we will start. And again, I want to inform all the guests and participants that this is the proud moment for me that I welcoming or inviting the expert talk for my students from SS Engineering College, Bhavnagar, Mr. Nandlal Dhandukia. That is for proud moment for me. So also for proud moment for all the students and faculties of SS Engineering College, Bhavnagar, that first time we are delivering or organizing this type of seminar, and that is from our institute, alumni from Shantilal Sai Engineering College, Bhavnagar. So really, I am proud for such a organizing such a event, and that is particularly from my student, and also proud for the Shantilal Sai Engineering College, Bhavnagar. Okay. Now, any faculty from faculty, please unmute the faculty from SS Engineering College, Bhavnagar, so they also can give something, can say about you. Okay.
Yeah.
Hello. You can unmute the Manish Patel sir or any other faculty from SS Engineering College, Bhavnagar.
They have to unmute themselves.
Hello. Hello.
Okay.
Morning,
Okay.
sir. Manish sir. Namaste.
Okay. Good morning to all.
You can say something related to our students.
Again, it is a very good session. It will be very good sessions from Nandlal Dhandukia because I have gone through the details of his work, and I think it will be very much helpful to our EC graduates and those who are doing their ME or last year BE. Okay, so I welcome all, and Inine Solutions honor Mr. Nandlal Dhandukia. I think I was not present in the 2010. I was transferred to GEC Bhavnagar. Sorry, GEC that Bharuch and Bhavnagar also. So maybe you will not knowing me, but
I have heard your name.
Okay, so definitely the session will be helpful to all our EC graduates. Please.
Sure. Okay. Good morning, all of you. I just welcome all of you for the session that I am going to deliver, and I hope you all and your family members are well. On behalf of DGGC, Surat and Inine Solutions, I welcome all of you to this talk titled Scope for EC Engineers in the Field of Industrial Automation. So just outlining all the things, we will first have some introduction session on what is industrial automation and what are PLCs, what are drives. We will not go in very deep, but we will try to understand that what is the main thing that attracts electronic students in particular this segment. So, and one another thing that how it is easy for electronic students to get, you can say, acquainted and get expertise in the field of industrial automation. And we will also see the type of job roles available for each student, from where they shall start and from where they can start. So as of now, all of us are aware that electronics graduates are facing too many problems in the employment. So, very good advantage of industrial automation knowledge is that you can become an entrepreneur and you can start your own business at small scale, and then again you can expand also. There is a tremendous scope in the field of industrial automation. Okay, so we shall start now. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so what is industrial automation? Particularly when we talk about automation, it's a process of reducing human effort. Yes or no? Yeah. So why we do industrial automation? We do industrial automation because we are expecting better outcomes and better product quality in a particular process where we have to do repeated jobs. And we can do our production 24/7, and in some of the applications we don't need any human intervention, and in some of the applications we need human supervisors, or you can say we need operators for the machine. But when compared to the human skills, whenever we need mass production, the automated machines are the best suitable solution. The thing is that production can be higher, the production cost can be reduced, and then the quality of the product will be same whenever, however times of it has been repeated in the production. Suppose you can talk about you can say die punch machine where you are cutting a sheet as a square. So if you cut a square from a metal sheet by human effort, you may not have exact outcome every time, but if you have an automatic punch and cutting machine, the outcome will be proper. Goa sir, I just request you to please turn off your mic, otherwise it will be audible to all of the participants. They might get disturbed. Okay sir. So basically we all are aware about what is industrial automation. We have seen the machines in the laboratories or in the industrial visits. We have found most of the students have visited the dairy plant or some other manufacturing activity. They have seen the machines there, and when they see the machines, they simply think, oh, it is too big, how we can make it. So industrial automation is not just a part of, you can say, a one domain. It's a combination of all the domains: mechanical engineering, chemical engineering, electronics engineering, electrical engineering. So there is a certain role that electronic students can also play in this domain and can have a good career. Okay, so we will not go in detail in the industrial automation. I hope all of you are aware. So the main part in any automation system is the controller. Or when we talk about industrial automation, it is programmable logic controller. So it's PLC. What it has actually, if you see in this diagram, you can say that a PLC contains a central processing unit which processes the input. Now what are the inputs basically? Basically the inputs are electrical signals measuring some physical quantity. Like now here is the role of electronics engineers. They can understand sensors in a better way because they know what are the comparators, what are amplification, what is the effect of noise. So when EC engineer enters in a field of industrial automation, he first loves to learn the sensors in the practical environment, in the physical environment. So sensors are mostly, you can say, sensing temperature or some distance or pressure or humidity. Or there are n number of, you can say, sensing a position of particular object. So all the signals are sent to the central processing unit of the PLC. Now what is the job of PLC? PLC has a program. Here the programs are written in ladder logic like this. So again the ladder logic is having you can say digital logic kind of thing which electronics engineering students can very easily understand and implement. What we use NO elements, we use NC elements, we do ending, we do ORing, we use timers, and we define some logical conditions, and then we make the decision. So when the decision is taken by the central processing unit, it will control the output of the PLC, and that particular output of the PLC will control the device. Like suppose say you have a motor to start. When suppose I say that I want a 20-degree temperature in this room. Okay, so I have a sensor which senses the temperature and it passes the value to the central processing unit, and that value is compared in the program. The program detects that, okay, what is the temperature? Suppose the temperature is 21 degree and I have set the temperature as 20 degree. So processor will identify, okay, the temperature is going higher and now you have to start AC. Suppose you have connected one of the AC to your PLC. So it will give a command to your AC and your AC will start. So when the temperature will come back again to 20 degree, the PLC will stop the AC. This is something kind of the very common word we listen nowadays, the smart. So smart is nothing. Every smart thing has one thing, that is the program. So whenever you have a program, there is scope for electronics engineers. We know logics better. We know, you can say, digital logic better. We understand sensors in a better way. And we also know the behavior of transistors and relays and all the things. These are the basics in our studies. So we can use all this knowledge when we are in the field of industrial automation. So as an electronics engineer, you might be aware about how to compare the signals and how to, you can say, make some logic using AND and OR. All that thing you can implement in the program. Now, there is data memory also. What are that? Suppose you have one, as the program we have already discussed, you want 20 degree in setting in your room temperature. So suppose you now want to change it to 22 degrees. So will you edit the program again? No, you will not edit the program again, because what you will do, you must have identified some data fields in your program. There you will enter that particular data and PLC program will behave accordingly. Okay, so this is the basic of PLC. We are not going to be in too much of details in programming, because if we go in detail, that will take too much of time. So I'll just give you some brief overview in the next slide. Okay, so I'll explain some few of the contacts. These are the NO contacts. Means whenever the signal is present, this will turn on. If the signal is not present, this will turn off. Now you can consider this particular line as a pipeline. Okay, and this particular line as a pipeline, and here is the tap. Here you will get the water. Simple logic if you want to understand the programming. These all are valves. So given that all the valves are open, and then only you will get the water here. So this is a coil, and this coil may be used to activate a bit in the PLC program, or it may be used to activate, you can say, the output of the program, which will eventually, you can say, control any of the output device. It might be fan, it might be motor, it might be a compressor, or it might be a solenoid valve or anything. Okay, so suppose now all these elements have their own conditions to start and stop. This is a ladder logic program in which we use NO elements. This is a NC element. Here it is a comparison block. There is a timer block. And again I have used here as a comparison block. So a ladder PLC programming as a basic level for all the AC engineers, we do it in a ladder language. So ladder language is again a language like when you program, you will feel it like digital logic. That subject is what we are studying in third semester. So it's simply and or identifying the situations, identifying the you can say logic level of the particular bit. You can easily understand the PLC programs, and you can easily design your basic PLC programs if you are electronics engineer and you are having some good knowledge of digital logic. It's not that much hard to understand. Okay, so I think someone has taken over my presentation. Okay. Okay, I'll stop resume presenting because someone has taken over the presentation by mistake, I think. Okay, so this is the PLC program. Okay, I request all the guests to please don't click on start presenting, because when you will click on start presenting, your screen will be reflected to all the users, and the users might not be able to see my presentation, so they will not get the idea exactly. Okay, thank you all. Sorry for the disturbance. Okay, so shall we move forward? Yeah. So again, now as I discussed in the previous in the PLC slide, that user will pass on the data. Now, when a user wants to talk to PLC, what has to be done? Suppose I will just give you an example of your washing machine. You set the timer, or you are using induction cooktop, you set the temperature. So the particular part where you press the buttons and you see the values or you enter the values is called human-machine interface. Though, as I know that induction cooktop and washing machine both are embedded systems, but you can understand the use of HMI using that. Okay, so HMIs are the applications, you can say the device is where you program some user interface, like you want to display the temperature, or you want to display the speed of motor, or you want to display the humidity level in the particular room. You can design a particular visible graphics in your HMI. It also has the buttons and all the things that can be used to give commands to the PLC. So suppose you have an application where you want to control the speed of fan using PLC. Okay, you have written a PLC program here where the user can give the input of fan speed, and you also want the user to see that what is the exact currently speed. So what you will do, you will design a HMI program in which you will first take the data from PLC, that okay, what is the speed, current speed of the fan, and you will ask the users that what speed it wants. So your HMI will have two fields. One is displaying the exact speed, and one is which is taking the input from the user. Let's suppose your current speed is 20 and you want the speed to 40. So user will enter the speed 40 in the HMI screen and press enter. The 40 speed will be passed on to the PLC program in the data block, and the program will take that data and change the speed of the fan. And this is the main thing, because as a human you cannot directly talk to PLC. You need certain medium. When suppose in a running machine, or suppose you have a production line of manufacturing Kinder Joy, and the production is taking at suppose 8,000 eggs per hour, and now you want to reduce the speed. So you should have some control over the machine, that okay, I have only 2 persons to collect the output, I will reduce the speed to 50%. So all the things you need to communicate to PLC during the program. This is the basic example. There are suppose 100 to 200 variables that you want to communicate to PLC when you are running a machine, or you are controlling a plant, or you are controlling a certain room or a cold storage or anything. Okay. So these are the HMI, human machine interfaces, where you will build the application. Now, what is the role of electronics engineers in the HMI programming? So basically one thing is that HMI is communicating to PLC, yes. So whenever there is communication, you need knowledge of electronic communication. Like you need knowledge of certain communication principles, certain communication protocols. So now, what is the medium of communication between HMI and the PLC? How do they share the data? There are so many standards and methodologies through which PLC and HMI communicate. There is Modbus, there is Profibus, there is CAN bus, there is Ethernet, there is Modbus over Ethernet. So there are many protocols which electronics engineers will simply understand because they have studied the communication. They understand what is the packet size, they understand what is the parity, what is the, you can say, error control, what is the IP addresses, what are the IP addresses, what can happen if the IP addresses get conflicted. So, being electronics engineer, you will be able to identify and troubleshoot the problems very easily, the communication problem. You are expected to understand and troubleshoot the problem easily. Okay, so shall we go to the next slide? Yeah. Okay. Now, as we discussed, that the PLC controls the output. So, output devices are motors, fans, some solenoid valves, and suppose say heaters and all the things. So, whenever there is a motion, likewise suppose say you have a machine, you have a paper cutting machine in which you want to cut the papers of the exact length. You have put one roll on the conveyor and it is pulling the paper, and then again you have to cut on the same size for every piece of the paper. Suppose say you want to cut A4 size of paper from a roll. So you design a machine and in which you have a motor which pulls the paper, and then you have a cutter mechanism which cuts the paper at the particular distance. So all the applications are designed using different devices and motors and sensors. So what are the AC drives particularly, or variable frequency drives? These are the, you can say, devices which take direct AC power, then convert it to DC in a capacitor bank, and then it simulates AC output through pulse width modulations and samples. If you have studied analog communication or sampling principle, you might be aware that if you transmit a high frequency signal, then its envelope can be detected as a low frequency signal, and that high frequency signal can be used as a carrier. So same thing we do in variable frequency drives, which we transmit very high frequency signal to the output of the drive, and its envelope will be the actual signal which will drive the motor. So AC drives or variable frequency drives are used to drive the conventional motors, three-phase motors. Now, where they are used, where AC drives are used and where the normal motors are used. Suppose you don't need any, you can say, precise length cutting mechanism. You just want to control the speed of a fan, suppose, or you just want to control the speed of a pump for supplying water, or you just want to save the electricity by using the variable frequency drive. In that particular applications, you can use AC drive and a motor. Suppose you, just an example, that is our product also. Suppose you want a hydro-pneumatic system in which you are getting constant pressure in the every tap in the building. So now what happens, suppose you have started the motor and one tap has opened, there is certain pressure in the pipeline. Then suppose second tap opens, there is certain pressure in the pipeline. The pressure will drop as the number of taps are increasing. So what we can do, we can use variable frequency drives and some sensor and the pump. Now sensor will give us the feedback, okay, what is the pressure in the pipeline. So suppose you have set the pressure to 3 bar. Now your PLC will take the decision that, okay, the required pressure is the 3 bar. So when the pressure will increase, the PLC will give command to variable frequency drive to decrease the speed of the pump. So the pressure will again decrease. So suppose there were 2 taps open, the pressure was 3 bar. Now suppose one more tap is opening, the pressure is dropping below 3 bar. So PLC will increase the speed of drive, and that eventually increase the speed of the motor, and again the pressure will be built up at 3 bar. So this is in a pipeline you will get constant pressure throughout the system. That is called hydro-pneumatic pressure booster system. So in the applications where you don't need precise speed control or precise motion control or position control, you will use AC drives and normal AC motors. Now, these are the servo drives. Now, what are the servo drives? Basically, in AC drive, you cannot control the position accurately. The position of the shaft, you cannot control accurately. Or you cannot control the, you can say, particular length or particular rotations that the motor has made. Now, what are the advantage of servo drives? That you can count each and every step. Servo drives are advanced versions of stepper motors, if you are aware about steppers. Okay, so you can, this particular servo motors are coming with servo drivers. These mostly comes in sets. So this driver will control the position of the shaft and speed of this particular motor. And using these motors, you can, using this servo drive motor, you can count particular length or particular RPM, and you can stop particular, you can say, device in a machine at the exact position. Suppose again, I am giving the example of paper cutting machine. Suppose the mechanism where you pull the paper, you will use a servo motor, and that servo motor will rotate the shaft and paper will come according to the shaft, and exact when the particular length has reached, your servo motor will stop and then you will put the cutter to cut the paper. Okay, so servo motors are more precise compared to AC drives, as well as they are highly expensive compared to AC drives and motor. Just for the sake of price, if you go for 1 HP motor and 1 HP drive set, you can get it in hardly 15,000 rupees. And if you go for 1 HP servo drive set, it will cost you double. So they are accurate, but they are costly, and they need a different mechanism of controlling, and they are used in a different application also. So both of them are different, and both of them have different operating principles and different applications. Okay, hope you all are getting my noise and I am audible to all of you. Okay, we'll go to next slide. So we have discussed output first, and now again we are coming to the input. These are sensors. So this is limit switch, this is again limit switch, it's a pressure transducer, it's a humidity and temperature sensor by Honeywell, it's a photo detector or photo sensor, it's a temperature sensor with most probably 4 to 20 milliampere converter housed in this housing. This is a proximity sensor. These are not all the sensors that we use. We have other sensors also, but these are the basic sensors you will find in any machine. Okay, so what is the use of limit switch? Giving you the simple example of your lift. Okay, so whenever your lift door is not open, your lift will move. If your lift door is open, it will not allow your lift to move. Or how do your lift system detect the position of particular lift in a particular floor? They use the proximity sensors and limit switch. Okay, now this is one example. Suppose you want, you have designed a system where you are supposed to overhead conveyor, you can say mechanism you have, overhead lift system which is moving in the building. So at the end of particular thing, you need to stop it. Otherwise, what will happen? It will break the wall or certain things. In machines also, you need this limit switch at so many places, because whenever your servo motor is moving or your motor is moving, the machine will go, you can say, abnormal if you do not provide some feedback system to control the, these are required for safety purposes. Okay, so the limit switch will detect, you can say, okay, the mechanical part has reached certain limit of movement, and at that time this switch will be operated and it will give signal to the PLC, and PLC will stop the movement of that particular part. Okay, these pressure transducers are used in various applications in industry, in air compress, or you can say you are controlling the pressures of water in the pipeline. You want to control the pressure of fluid, or you can say oil in your cooling system. Everywhere you can use pressure transducers. Humidity and temperature sensors these are the sensors that particularly we use in our cold storage automation system. We sense the humidity of the particular cold storage and the temperature. These are the photo sensor, and upgraded version of this is called iMark sensor. And these sensors are used to detect the shade variation. Suppose again I am taking the example of Kinder Joy. You will find that the image of particular logo and all the things will be on the exact place on every egg. These do not come automatically. It has to be done using some sensors and PLC logic. We move the particular egg forming foil according to the position of the logo and all the things using the photo sensor and servo drive. So the egg will be looking same in every egg format. Otherwise, what will happen? In some eggs, you will get some information cut. If you will compare the product of some brand and a local product, you will see the difference between the cutting and filling position. Suppose you will go for a Lay's packet, you will find that always the Lay's logo is at the top, and all the information from the particular packet looks the same. If you will go for a local packaging, not comparing Balaji, but other some very local products, you will find that the product descriptions are cut somewhere it is half or somewhere, because the particular cutting and filling position mechanism is not implemented in that. That's why this happens. Okay. Proximity sensors, the metals and metallic parts, and these are the applications where we use, suppose unwinders and all the things. The proximity sensors are widely used in unwinder applications. Okay. Thank you all for listening. It has been half an hour actually. You might feel tired, but I hope I am making it interesting, because I don't know whether all of you are aware about these things or not, but I will try to make it more informative so that you can at least get highlighted what are the things. Okay, let's move on. Now we have seen the essence of industrial automation. It is very basic. We have not gone into too much detail. But from this you can have an idea that what electronic students can do in this field. Now I have identified 4 basic areas in which you can do your job as electronics graduates. So I was a faculty in electronics department in one of the engineering college. If you have seen my profile, I have been there for 5.5 years, and then I have been in this practical field. So now I understand, okay, what is the lacking between our curriculum and what do we have as an advantage when we join the industrial automation field. So first thing is, you can join as application engineer, in which you can do PLC programming, HMI programming, and SCADA development. Now PLC programming and HMI programming is all about digital logic and communication. If you know these 2 subjects, you can very easily learn HMI programming and PLC programming. Okay. Now PLC programming, all the PLC programming software of particular brand, they have help files, and you can start developing your programs from them. And you can start learning basics of PLC programming from the help of the particular software. SCADA is a particular large scale thing which is used in mostly chemical plants and large plants to control all the plant automatically. We provide a SCADA system for cold storage automation, where the cold storage details can be seen. Mr. Neerav Patel has joined us, and we request them to please turn off your mic. Okay, because we are getting disturbed by the background noise. Okay. Hope I am audible to all of you. Okay, thank you. So this is the particular domain, application engineer. Now next is R&D and manufacturing. Mostly when we talk about say electronics knowledge, we only think about diodes and resistors and IC soldering on the PCB. When we make your final year project, you come up with a 10 centimeter by 10 centimeter circuit, and then we feel that okay, we have done some tremendous thing. Okay, any size of chip, suppose 1 centimeter by 2 centimeter Wi-Fi chip which is used in CCTV cameras is also a tremendous application, or you can say innovation. But the thing is that your circuit should solve certain problem of the industry or certain problem of the you can say daily life of normal people, certain problem of your institute. You can develop such circuits in your project. Okay, we are going towards projects. Basically, I have to talk about R&D and manufacturing. Okay, so as an electronics engineer, you can join to circuit design and testing department of some automation company or some automation instruments manufacturing company like Multiphon in Ahmedabad, Silex in Pune. There are so many electronics manufacturing companies in Bombay, Pune, Ahmedabad, which are manufacturing the you can say instruments for industrial automation. There is need of circuit design engineers, PCB, soldering and testing, and development of new products. Like I suppose you can develop a particular device, or you can say a particular instrument in which you just need to connect the electrical power and give some data, and it will control the automatic disinfected tunnel. You can design that application, and you can design your particular particular control device for that particular application. Okay, now here comes service engineer. This is your entry point whenever you enter the field of industrial automation mostly, because this is the most volatile job position in our market. As a service engineer, you need to go to installation and commissioning of various machines and control panels that you have designed at various locations within India, outside India. And so if you are fond of traveling, you will enjoy this job as a service engineer. There are certain, you can say, negative points also for this service engineer profile, but we'll discuss it later on. So what is the role of service engineer? Installation and commissioning of the control panels or products. You go to suppose you see as a automation engineer, mostly you will find that your company is manufacturing electrical control panels, and some another company is manufacturing the mechanical body of that particular machine. Okay, so whenever a customer buys your machine from the machine manufacturer, you will go for installation of that particular machine with all your necessary equipment, programming and all the things. Suppose you have made a plastic cutting machine and your customer has requested it from suppose Chennai, and at the beginning of the time you may need to go there and make the user aware about all the things, the operating and all the things. So it's mostly you can say sometimes users find it boring, but there are so many challenges, because when a particular thing is working in your premise, it might get some issues when it goes to the customer side. Like for final year students, and you can say when we do projects, it's mostly working on our desk, but when we put it to in front of faculty at the time of Viva, it is not working. And what we say, sir, it was working just yesterday, it was working very fine, but now it is not working. So if such things happens with your machine when you are going as service engineer to the customer, it's a very bad position. You know, you have to justify all the things and you have to somehow make it working. Okay, so there is a challenge also. Okay, on-site technical support. Suppose you have sent one machine to your customer, and then and then there is some issue you want to, you can say, so customer has encountered a problem and they want your support to, you can say, troubleshoot the problem and make some changes. You might need to go to customer site and do the thing. Okay, then what is there in remote support? Suppose your application has some parameter and data entry things, and your customer is not aware about what are the things going on. They might call you and you might need to give them remote support or some instructions to come out of all the things. Okay, one kind of remote support is Bhuva sir continuously giving here in the chat window, and you all are having some pop-ups in your screen that e-certificate will be given to you. It's a kind of remote support. I am presenting and sir is supporting me remotely. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Bhuva sir. Okay, so next profile is of sales engineer. So this is the job profile which is occupied mostly management students or MBA students. But when BBA MBA person goes for marketing of electronic products, they are not aware about the things. So if you are as an electronic engineer, if you join in the sales or marketing department, you have knowledge of so many things. You can explain particular product to customers better in a better way. You can guide them in selecting a particular product for their particular application, and that adds as a plus point in your profile when you are electronics engineer and you are going for marketing. Definitely it's a tough job, and it is mostly target oriented, and it's not easy to enter someone's premise. That is, you can say, it's a big deal. Okay, and you have to convince the user that okay, my product is very good for your use. Like we do try to convince our faculties when we are in Viva that okay, my project is very good and it is going to change the world entirely. But it sometimes doesn't happen. Same thing you will face when you are sales engineer or automation, or you can say instrumentation products. So you have to do customer visits, you have to do product promotion, you have to meet the customer, explain the product, you have to accept the order and take the payments and all the things. You have to make that customer pay on time, and all the things you have to manage at your end. Okay, and then you might go to some engineering expo and exhibitions to exhibit your product, to explain to the, you can say, persons who are visiting you, so that you can add some more, you can say, clients in your profile. Okay, these are the basic things. Now, there are other roles also. These are the main highlighted roles. Now, there is one role that I have not listed here, is that if you go through some of these roles and if you think that okay, you have enough of knowledge and you have enough of motivation to start your own thing, you can be an entrepreneur in industrial automation field. If you have experience, once you get experience of 5-4 years, you will start, you can say, having idea that okay, how this business is working, how you can get customers and how you can serve them. So, but for that you must have a rigorous experience of 4 to 5 years in the field. If you expect an office job in an AC cabin, then this is not the field for you. Industrial automation field is for practical persons who are, you can say, motivated enough to survive in any hard situation and visit the customer site and support them and be ready to face the customers and all their doubts. Okay, so you can be entrepreneur if you do your job seriously for 5 years, and then you can have your own team and start your own company also. Okay, so what are the challenges? So industrial automation field is continuously changing field. You have to learn something new every day. As the things go in our smartphones and all the things, technologies are changing every day. Same thing is happening with industrial automation also. We get new products, new control mechanisms, new control techniques, and new development in every domain. So you need to be, you can say, a good learner. You have to learn something every day. Suppose you have learned something and you have started your job, and for 5 years you will learn nothing new. That will not help you. You have to grow. And yeah, if you face the challenge of new learning every day, you will definitely grow. And that is good for your career. So if you join any industrial automation company for knowledge of industrial automation, then just go ahead. You will have to learn new things because you will be given tasks and you will face challenges in accomplishing that task. You join a particular company, they will within a week they will send you to customer place. Okay, be there, and we will support you remotely. Now what will happen? They will support you from office, and you will have to execute all the things at the customer premise, and customer will be sitting over your head and asking, okay, what has happened? Why it is not happening? Why this has happened? So you will get, you can say, you might get irritated also when you have just joined the organization, but that will develop you. Okay. Now, what is the next challenge? Next challenge is you belong to the field, and actual working environment and conditions may not be part of your dream. Now, what do I mean by this line is that mostly when we are studying in engineering, and not only studying in engineering, when we are faculty of engineering college, what we think is that we have certain level of expectations in our mind. Okay, this is my office, I will do this only, and I need my office in a particular way, I need my working time in a particular way, હું તો આટલું જ કામ કરીશ, I will do this only, I will do that only. So all that things will just vanish when you join the field of industrial automation, because things are not predictable here, things are not comfortable here. But yes, it challenges you, but once you start working and start enjoying your work, you will love it, because it will bring the best out of you. It will bring the best possible within you by acquiring new knowledge, acquiring, you can say, accepting new challenges. So it will develop you as a human, as an engineer, you will be a better person. So challenges are there, but the challenges are for your growth. Now the next point is working hours are defined, but mostly unable to follow during on-site support. So what happens when you go for on-site support? Suppose you have landed in Delhi at 10 a.m., at 11 a.m. you will be at customer site and you will start working on your machine. And you might forget that what is the lunch time. At 3 p.m. your customer will ask, sir, will you have lunch? And then you will remember, oh, I have to take lunch also. And what will sometimes happen that you reach the customer site at 12 p.m. and you are expecting that, okay, I will have lunch, and your customer will take directly to machine. First, you start my machine, then go for lunch. You will get such type of customers also. Okay, so there are challenges, and you will love this field as an electronics engineer when you enter this field. So, but if you have the, you can say, mindset of learning, then and then only you will enjoy. The entry will be like most of the time our lander has crashed on the moon. Same thing will happen with you also. You will not be able to, you can say, locate yourself in the field. It will be a crash landing. You might not get the payment as expected. Most of the times engineers have expectation of 40,000, 50,000 as a beginning salary, but that is not the normal thing in industrial automation field. And I suggest you to join a small company, because small companies you will have to play many of these roles together, and small companies will not be able to pay you more salary, but you will get you can say knowledge of all the fields. You will have to be a multitasking person, and you will have to play multiple roles. That will build you as an entrepreneur, and then you can start your own business also. So key points: entry level, you may find this field challenging, and you may not find you can say a better paying job. You may find that the working environment and the job profile is not good, but at the end of the 1 or 2 years, you will find that you are in a very good field, and you can definitely make something out of it as a good, you can say, engineer. Okay, so I think I have done with my presentation, Bhuva sir, and shall we take questions now? Okay, I am enabling the question window. You can ask the questions here. I will just post this link in a chat window. You can go through that particular link from that chat window.
You can mute yourself and you can ask the questions. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Hello, sir. I am Stavan Bhatt. I am studying in SSGEC College. So,
okay, Stavan. Good morning.
Good afternoon, sir. So, can you please share your little bit of a journey after graduating from EC?
Yeah, you might have you might have gone through my profile, but I'll just be very short because I have passed my BE from SS Engineering College in 2010, and after that I joined LD College of Engineering as a GATE scholar for Master of Engineering, and then in 2012 in July I joined Lakshmi Institute of Technology as assistant professor, and then through the efforts, I was later promoted as head of the department, and I have established NPTEL local chapter there, and I have also taken so many administrative roles there along with the academics. Then I started my own firm, that is Inline Solutions, and then in November 2017, I just gave off all the duties at Lakshmi Institute of Technology and just focusing on my own venture, that is Inline Solutions. Meanwhile, I went to Ahmedabad also, where one of my friends, Mr. Nitesh, who has another firm, Miracle Automation. I worked there also to get used to certain things. I worked almost 1.5 years there, and we developed so many products. We exported certain products, and that helped me a lot to grow, actually. Thank you for asking.
Okay, sir. And what about if we are not strength at our academics, but we are a lot interested in innovation?
Basically, when we talk about innovation is, as I believe, is that your interest and your dedication will decide your identity. So, if you are innovative and you have interest in certain topic or field, you must be dedicated to that field, and you have to continue your efforts, and then you will come out of certain things. You can say you get some skill, and you understand how to sell that particular skill and how to survive and how to excel in that particular domain. So you have to stick to your goal, and you have to stick to your you can say application or idea that you are having for your career or whatever you say. Okay, thank you. Someone has asked me in Paramu Eshwari has asked me provide some example of SCADA. Okay, so at the present I will not be able to share some screens of SCADA, but you can visit our website, that is www.e9.in, and you will get some you can say details about the HMI screens and SCADA programs that we build. SCADA is mostly a computer program which is communicating to PLC. Instead of HMI, you use PC to communicate to PLC. Okay, I have got one question. Okay, I am presenting it. I have got one question from Mr. Abhishek Dubey, that can you share scope for industrial automation, especially in Gujarat? Also adding, sir, it is required to complete a certified course on PLC or SCADA for this job. Okay, so what I suggest is that the going for course is not my choice. Most of the times people go for a course or certified course. But if you go for course, you will be charged either 20 or 30,000 and you will do the course for 3 months. What I suggest is join a small company at the salary of 5,000 or 6,000 or 10,000, whatever they give you. And within 6 months, you can have a good hold on the field, better than the training. And your experience counts more than a certificate. So I don't prefer for the certificate courses, but yeah, you can, if the certificate course is provided by a automation company itself, then you can join. You don't go for classes. Only those who are running the classes, they have limited scope of application knowledge and you can say knowledge development within you. If some company is providing the training, you can join them. And the particularly scope for industrial automation in Gujarat, I will just like to say that if you join a small company and learn the basics, you can start your own business in any of the city like Vapi or Baroda or Ankleshwar or Bharuch or Ahmedabad or Rajkot. Most of the times I have found so many electronics engineers in our field. Actually, we are having 5 firms and all the 5 firms managers and owners are electronics persons. My 5 classmates are having their own firm in industrial automation. All are electronics engineers from SS Engineering College. Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Do you refer some courses that Akila Babu has asked us? Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yeah, you are audible, sir.
Yes. So Nandlal, you have worked in engineering college as well as you're in touch with automation industries. So
Yes,
please tell our students that in which subject during that journey of Bachelor of Engineering or Master, in which subject they have to concentrate. Those who are interested in industrial automation. And as you know that some content is not available in our GTU curricula. So which additional softwares or which additional content they have to learn, those who are interested in industrial automations?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so thank you for asking the question, sir. So basically I am coming to the point 1, that what subjects you should concentrate. Basically, as a faculty, I used to say that EC people are facing employment issues because it's not the field of normal person. We have 40 subjects and all the 40 subjects are challenging if you take the curriculum. Okay, it's not a very basic subject, and that's why our engineers fail to get employment, because it's very difficult. When it comes to EC, you have concepts only and so many concepts in every subject. But in the field of industrial automation, you need concepts of digital logic subject, some certain concepts of microprocessor, addressing, data type, and some programming skills in C, and all the main portions of analog electronics and power electronics. If you know all these things, it will be very easy for you to enter this field and get things known very easily. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, anyone else, sir? Yeah, I will just check whether someone has asked any question in the chat window.
You can have explain the scope in PLC in Gujarat. Okay, one question is there. Okay.
Yeah, Manish sir. So when we talk about scope in PLC in Gujarat, yes, there is definitely scope for PLC people in Gujarat. The given thing is that you must not have some expectations of office work on an AC office. You have to go to field, you have to work 24/7, and your job profile will not be a comfortable one, but there will be a challenging one job profile. And regarding particularly for PLC, yeah, you can develop PLC programming skills, and then you can start providing PLC programming services to some companies, or you can provide support to small industries in and around your area where they have machines. And suppose in your village there are 10 industries, and 10 of them, most of the industries have PLC controlled machines. So whenever they get some issue, they will like to get support from some engineer for PLC development, or you can say PLC program change and all the things. There are so many, you can say, job roles that you can do related to PLC. Thank you, sir. I hope I am correct in your answering your question. Okay, Akila Moduji has asked that, do you refer some courses? Okay, so as of now, we are not conducting any courses, and regarding the PLC tutorials and all the things, there are n number of resources available online. And what I suggest for learning is that first identify the instrument manufacturing companies for whose instruments are used in industrial automation. So they have the leaflets and learning material and user manuals of that particular project. If you go through all that things, you can very easily understand the application and all the things. You do not need to go to in-depth classes or some course from anywhere else, because most of the time these courses are required if you want to teach to someone. If you want to learn yourself, I don't think you need to go to certain course. Okay. One thing I would like to tell here that we are planning to start our YouTube channel, and we are planning to put the, you can say, basic videos for guiding you that how to start learning PLC. You can refer to them. We have already started our channel, and we will share it with along with certificate. You can subscribe, and then you can learn from them. Thank you. So Krupali Jatanya has asked which software that supporting PLC programming. See, dear Krupali, I just want to make one point that PLCs are proprietary things for all the manufacturers, and all the manufacturers have different programs for or you can say different softwares for programming their PLC. It's PLC dependent. There is no generalized software for programming all the PLC. It's manufacturer dependent. Like Schneider will have its own software, L&T will have its own software, then Mitsubishi will have its own software, Silex has its own software. So when you are in the field, if you learn one software, you can mostly understand all the software, because the basic principle of ladder logic and addressing and all the things are same. Okay, I hope I am clear.
I want to say something. I am audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible.
Basically, more students from my institute, SS Engineering College, Bhavnagar, and you are also from there, and Mr. Manish Patel is also from them, and Manish Patel is also a student from SSCC Bhavnagar. So I want to say some my experience to students that during these 4 years you identify the subject of your interest. Okay, our field, electronics and communication field, is very wide. There are number of varieties in our subject. Okay, so at least you identify subject of your interest, and then choose that related to that career, then you will really enjoy. If I give my example and my colleague Manish Patel, so basically at 80 and 89, 90, 88 and 89, there was a craze of electronics and communication engineering. We basically were the students of medical line. Okay, then when we came in the engineering college and know that this is not a field of our interest, then we choose a teaching profession, and teaching is my hobby, and I really enjoyed this profession. So my advice is all the students that you choose your passion in which you are enjoying. Okay, so money is not important in life. May you learn less, earn less or more, but important thing is really you enjoy your profession. That is why my experience I am sharing with you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Nice work, sir. Thank you.
Now, anybody else, any students want to share
Any
your
faculty or
questions?
students, if you want to put some points, you can
Yes,
unmute
okay,
yourself
okay.
and speak.
Okay, any faculty all can give you suggestions, so next time we can have a better arrangement for that. You can give already feedback form is shared with you, so you give the correct feedback, not good feedback. Okay, so purpose of the feedback is to make improvement in ourselves. So give your correct feedback, not expecting the good feedback. As far as myself and Nanlaj is expecting. Okay.
Yes, and
Am I right?
we are not asking for your name or email address or any particular personal details. So don't think like that. Okay, we will be identified and anything. You can put feedback what you felt during the particular this event. We want exact feedback to improve ourselves. It is not just only for our appreciation. Okay, thank you. Kannan Nadar has asked, ladder flow diagram is used only for Siemens PLC or for all other PLC. Kannan sir, I just want to tell you that most of all the PLCs are supporting ladder programs. Ladder is the basic and most widely used language for PLC programming. Any brand PLC, you will find ladder support. Thank you.
Now I think there is not any question.
Thank you, Rina ma'am, for feedback.
Okay, so let us conclude, and I want to thank all the participants. I'm very much happy that many faculties have taken interest. As I know that teachers are also a student for a lifetime, so we have to also improve ourselves so we can give our student latest knowledge. That is why we are arranging such a program, and all the teachers, as per my opinion, is a lifetime student. So we have to learn more and more for growing ourselves, and so we can deliver the current content and related to current information to the students. Okay, hope all of you have enjoyed this session, and your feedback will be important for us to improve ourselves. So give your feedback, and we will try to give you the certificates related till evening for those participants have attended the same whole session. Okay. So any faculty have to give any feedback related to this session can give you. Manish Patel sir. Basically, I asked.
Hello.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Hello, Bhuva
Yes,
sir.
yes. Who?
Hello, I am MP
Yes,
Jani
yes. Welcome, sir.
from Shantilalsa and
Yes, yes. Oh,
from Shantilalsa Engineering College.
yes, welcome, sir.
First of all, I would like to congratulate you and Mr. Nandlal ji
Thank
for
you, sir.
delivering such a nice session.
Okay.
And the content was very much informative, and
Thank you, sir.
surely it will help the students. It is no, there is nothing there is nothing that we can say this is the negative part for this session. It was very good. It was very good, excellent. I congratulate all of you for this, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think most of the responses from my institute. Okay. Most of the
Mhm.
participants are from SSCC Bhavnagar, and
Yeah,
I have completed my graduation in 1992. But that
yeah,
was the turning point of my life.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
learned lots of from that institute, so I cannot forget that institute. Okay, any faculty or student from particularly SSCC Bhavnagar, I want feedback from faculty and students of SSCC Bhavnagar.
I think students have left.
Hello.
Okay,
Yes.
Manish Patel. Yes,
Hello.
yes.
So it is a very good session. We are very much thankful to Nandlal and EC
Thank you, sir.
department, GEC Bhavnagar, GEC, sorry, GEC Surat. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
I
Okay,
think all
so
are extending their thanks in chat window.
okay. Now let us end our session.
Hello.
I'm
And now we request Nandlal, can
Yes, sir.
we make the same type of arrangement for SSCC Bhavnagar with different
Definitely, sir.
contents?
Definitely,
So
sir.
just share your mobile number with me, and let us discuss for specific content that should be useful to EC engineers. specifically.
Sure, definitely, sir. Definitely.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now.
I think we shall stop now. We have gone 10 minutes
Yes.
more than the schedule.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some books and some question is there. Will you share some books and reference? So
Yeah.
you website from you can share the website from and different name of the
Yeah,
books.
Kannan has asked that please share some books to learn PLC.
Okay.
I just suggest to go through the websites of device manufacturers like Schneider and L&T and Siemens, and there are so many. If you go through the websites, you will get certain idea first. And when you have some basic idea, then after if you start learning, it will be a very good experience for you.
Okay.
Books you will find automatically when you start learning. Thank you, sir.
Okay. At last, I want to thank you. Lots of thanks to Inine Solutions, and it was the really excellent webinar or seminar. And I hope that all the participants have gained some knowledge. Thank you very much. And some feedback or message is there? Any question is there? Otherwise, take all the thanks and let us end. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you. I request all of you to please
Fill up the
you
feedback.
can say feedback form and please leave this meeting so we can close this meeting. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you all the participants. Thank you.